Couldn't do it last night because just didn't get home till close to, 11:30, almost midnight, and just did not make a lot of sense to do the post then. Would have liked to have had a beer, chatted about a 41-17 blowout at the hands of the 49ers, but hey, here we are. So instead of beers, it's coffee, and we'll dig into it a little bit. So it's a bit of a rough broadcast just because when it's that ugly and you're looking at that many punts and that many changes of possession and just what do we have? JK with 8, Corliss Waitman with 5. I mean, a combined 13 punts. Chargers offense just could not get going. And I think if I have one big takeaway, and I haven't looked back at the film yet, I'll do that a little bit later. But I think my biggest takeaway is probably I want to see this run game work. I know that it's not Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater and that, but man, they can't run the ball right now. And, when you take out Trey's rushing, there's nothing there. And DeRosier was kind of the only guy that got anything going with those 21 yards, and it really was just one carry. Otherwise, Patterson 3 for 7, Kamani 4 for 6, Keaton Mitchell 3 carries for -1 yard, Amar Johnson 2 for -1 yard, Omarion 1 carry for -1 yard. So, to me, if you watch, they just could not secure the edges, the tight ends and the wide receivers. It was, you snap the ball and you try to run it, and there was nothing. I think that just derailed the offense. And I think it's a reminder of how important the run game is for Mike McDaniel to get this thing really working. I think, like Coach said in his presser after the game, just when you have debilitating penalties, when it's so hard to get offense working, and then you get a long completion and it gets called back for a formation penalty, or you get a Trey Lance 20-yard run and it gets called back for a formation penalty. I mean, the fact they had 4 formation penalties, I think it's just a reminder of new offense, backup quarterback. DJ made a great point. On the broadcast, he's like, he goes, a lot of times that's quarterback where, you're just not as aware. If that's Justin out there, he's looking, he sees that 2 guys are moving. He's like, all right, everyone good? All right, let's go. Snap the ball. Whereas Trey's just kind of focused on the play and that sort of thing. And he's not really paying attention to the fact that, you got 2 guys moving. I mean, it happens so many times, and then you've got Arande who's on the line and, trying to get his sea legs when it comes to blocking. And he's, just lined up wrong twice. So, I think that's stuff that just gets cleaned up. And my big takeaway is right here, these are all my notes from the joint practice. And that's when ones were going against ones. And it was like game action. And the Chargers put on a clinic on both sides of the ball. Thule was unblockable. On the defensive side, I was talking to Steve Weish from the NFL Network. He was down watching the defense. I kind of had a distant eye on him. I was paying attention to the offense. Brandon Thompson got behind the defense for 2 touchdown passes. David Njoku found a nice little seam route, found himself open for another touchdown. Keaton Mitchell, Charlie Kolar, Alec Ingold teamed up. Joe Alt carried Fred Warner down the field for about 12 yards. Mitchell ripped off a 35-yard run for a touchdown. That's the stuff that's more important this week. That DJ was 7 for 15 with 8 for 80 yards, and Trey was 10 for 16 for 73. Look, you hope those guys don't play a snap in the regular season. So, the 2 big takeaways for me were now we've got 2 preseason games where they're not running the ball. And I'm just talking about depth, right? The depth pieces that we're excited about. And we already have, obviously, Tyler Biadasz out. He's getting a second opinion, but potentially out for the season. So you're on your second center. And that now, if Jake Slaughter was going to be your starting left guard, potentially puts you on your second string left guard as well. And so I want to see these backups, do a better job of blocking it up for the run game. The other thing was just sloppy missed tackles on defense. And for me, it's less about, because again, it's all backups, and by all accounts against the 49ers in the joint practice, the defense looked great. But to me, I just think, I would love to see Tyrod Edwards make this team. And he's been great in camp. He had a great game against the Texans. And then he's got about 3 or 4 missed tackles out there, where he's got a quarterback wrapped up that breaks free. He's got a running back wrapped up that breaks free. The long touchdown run, or almost, was it a touchdown run? Yeah, I think it was a long touchdown run, right? For McCormick or whatever it was. That's a bad angle by Genesis, and that's something that was a bit of a concern for him coming out. Look, the coverage stuff is there. And this was more just like, can he tackle? If you're that last line of defense, you can't have busted coverages like he had. Or I shouldn't say busted coverage. You can't have bad angles like he had, and then you get a guy that rips off a 37-yard run. So I think that's sort of the issue. And a lot of the stuff on the run game, again, it wasn't necessarily offensive line. It was just kind of more guys coming from the backside. And chasing it down, and extra defenders being sent in on run blitzes that were unblocked. And so that's just kind of the stuff that they can clean up. I still think, Travis Burke looks great. I think he's going to likely be a very good swing tackle moving forward, starting next season. To me, I think the line is settled. I would assume it's going to be Ashika at left guard, Slaughter at center, Cole Strange at right guard, and then obviously Alton Slater. Saw a nice soft hands catch there from Charlie Kolar. I think he's going to be a lot more involved in the offense. We saw that in the joint practice. He had a couple of those. And tight ends look, you're not out there with Charlie Kolar, David Njoku, and Alec Ingold. He played the first series, Ingold did, and then he was done. And he's a valuable and a critical part of this offense when it comes to the run game and blocking it up. So let's see, I'm just looking at my board here. I like Spmer, man. I think, I don't know I know everyone's going to freak out if they don't go out and get like a center whose name they recognize. But for me, I think Spmer looked pretty good. He looked really good in the Texans game. Like I said, I have not gone back. Let me see if I can get just a quick read on what we had in this game. Where are you at, Spmer? It's funny, I can't decide if it's Spmer or Spmer, by the way. I was told, I think he was fine. If I'm looking at him, much better against the Texans. Nobody's going to have a good run blocking grade, so I'm going to have to go back and look through it. But I think he's got a very... And look, he's small. He's smaller, I should say. He's 6'3", 290. But look at the Dolphins, and look at what their offensive line looks like. What's Brewer? Let me pull it up right now. Brewer can't be more. I'd be floored if he was over 300 pounds. Yeah, 6'1", 290. That's your first team All-Pro center. So. We know that these guys, and here's the guy that everyone was talking about. Oh, should you go get Andrew Meyer, the backup center on Miami, 6'3", 290. Spmer, 6'3", 290. He's already there. And like I said, I would not be surprised if he ends up making this team as the backup center. And I'm fine with that. And I think on the Slaughter front, because we have not addressed this since the Biotish injury, but to me, I think it works out. Would I rather have Biotish in there? Yes, obviously. But I do think for his rookie season, an All-American, a guy who for most people was the number one center in the draft, I like the idea of just kind of getting him acclimated to NFL life as a center, where he's comfortable. We know we can see it. We saw that at left guard, picking up the twists and the stunts, and that was the stuff he did really well. The run game stuff was maybe where you saw him on the ground a little bit and just not quite finishing blocks and things like that. But that's all stuff that, and I think the thing with Slaughter compared to Biotish, you would assume week one, you're flying. With Slaughter, just assume it's going to take a second. That this is going to take a minute. Maybe by the time we get to week 6, maybe after the bye is when he's really hitting his stride. And now you're like, oh, wow, you got a rookie who's a legitimate center now. Guy that we're going to hopefully have man that position for the next 10 or 12 years. So that's kind of what I would think. I have not talked to anyone about Spmer yet, but I do know they like him. I do know that he's a guy that they like, and so for me, I think if you just watching him practice in, practice out, watching him in these 2 preseason games, I'm comfortable with it, man. I really am. I think I'm comfortable with him being the backup. So, yeah, let's see what else. Defensively, Marlo Wax, I felt like was the only guy on defense. Oh, you know what? I thought Dame had a good game. I wonder let me see what the PFF grade is on Dame, because, the pick 6 was all him creating that pressure. Now he went unblocked, but what did they give him for this game? Because I know his grade wasn't very high against the Texans. Well, I guess me and PFF do not see eye to eye. They gave him a 29.9 in 38 snaps, but I thought he played pretty well. I thought he had a couple pressures in there that you could see him just easily moving the offensive lineman. But apparently PFF didn't agree, so I'll have to go back and watch the film. I think Marlo Wax was the best defender out there again. Avery Smith unfortunately had the bad penalty in the end zone on that 4th down when he grabbed his guy, and it was a hold, and it was a legitimate penalty. It was a bummer. But so I think Marlo is still the best player, but Avery should have had a pick at the goal line there on the right side. When Kendall Williamson, there were just like 3, Martinez threw it up for grabs, or it might have been Mac Jones. I can't remember who it was, but Avery had that thing lined up. Would have been a pick 6 too, like a 99-yard pick 6. So I'm intrigued by him. I think that's a guy that's got an outside shot to make this team. He would be the one I would circle. I think Avery, Dame, Terai Edwards, Andre Carter, I thought played pretty well. I think that would probably be those would be the guys that I would probably keep an eye on, as who's got a shot. Because Andre Carter can play special teams. He's a vet. He's been in it for a while. I thought Nick Barrett flashed too, their 5th-round rookie out of South Carolina. Special teams, do you want to see JK? I saw someone put that in there. What about special team blunders? Yeah, look, that's not who's going to be, Ross is not going to be returning kickoffs or punts. You don't have to worry about that and that fumble. And, JK might have just been trying some stuff out, but, outkicked his coverage. It's a little bit low, opened it up for the return. I think in a regular season game, he's going to make that tackle, not pull the old A. But in a preseason game, it's like, do you want your punter getting hurt, trying to make a tackle against a guy in the 3rd quarter of a game, you're down 25 points? Probably not. Again, I think it's more process than score and more execution than stats. And I think for me, the big takeaway is, let's lean on the joint practice, which the offense completely dominated. And by all accounts, it sounded like parts of the defense had their way with the 49ers. I'd much rather, if you told me they got roughed up in joint practice and lit it up at SoFi last night, or they dominated the joint practice and got housed at SoFi, yeah, give me the former. And I'm excited about what I saw. I mean, here's just some stuff I got. 88. Here we go. So I'm talking about the run issues in this game, and I've got 88 and 83 solid blocks, sweep right, huge run by 34. So there you go. Keaton Mitchell, Charlie Kolar, David Njoku in 22 with Ingold out there, and there goes Keaton Mitchell against the first team defense of the 49ers for a big one. 10 to 89 for a deep shot. There it is, 7 to 89 for a deep shot, both touchdowns. So those are the Brennan Thompson, gets behind the defense. Here's another running one. 2, 8, bowls over 27, 8, humiliates 53. So there's Amari Hampton and those runs and business decisions that need to be made by these guys, Jair Brown and Duggar, who didn't turn it down, and they incurred the wrath of what Amari Hampton has going. 30 on a leak route. I don't think it was a sale from Ingold that looked really good. That was a big gainer at the fullback position. So, those are the kind of things that, to me, for the week was more important. I think that's probably what I got. Anybody else flash? Like I said, I'd like to see Marlo Wax more. I would like to see him get a legitimate shot like they're giving Delshon at linebacker. Would love to see a bounce back game from T-Raw against the Rams. I thought Boygby flashed as well in his limited snaps. He had a couple where you could see the force that he could be on the interior of that line. I know when people are putting their 53, I hope they all have Kendall Williamson on. He's going to be on this team. He's too good special teams wise, and I think he can give you solid reps at safety as well. He's just got a good nose for the ball. 40's going to make the team. Junior Coulson's pick six was great. Good recognition. That was produced by Dame's pass rush, and he was able to read the quarterback's eyes, jump it, and get a pick six. Great to see for Junior. Let's get more of that. I mean, look, it's not like we want the guy to fail. We want Junior to be great and make it a tough decision and hopefully realize the potential we thought he had when he was a third-round pick in 2024. All right. I think that's it. Let's get another sip of this. And let's talk to you, the people. So going to scroll all the way to the beginning and try to get to everybody before we get out of here. But thanks. Wow, got a lot of comments. All right, here we go. What's up, B. Parksy? Surf Lugan, my guy Mark. Hopefully he got out today. Burke looked really good. Yeah, look, I think Burke is going to have a role in this team. I really do. I think that's he's someone who's certainly proving himself. And he fits the bill for what they like. The Baltimore brand of offensive lineman is giant, right? That's what they've always done. And I think that's sort of what Joe Ortiz wants to draft. And you see it, with all of these guys and how big they are. Where is Burke? Where are you? Here we go. Yeah. Was the highest graded lineman. So way to go, dude. Highest graded lineman in this one. So well done there. But again, I have not watched the film, so I got to go back and watch it all. Ashika, I think Ashika, Coach Oak, is going to be your starting left guard. Not running for president. Mister. I'm not going to say the first part of that. Couldn't give Herbert and the starters one more series. You know what, Will? They're going to get. I just don't think it was worth it, Will. They played a full hour and a half in that joint practice, and that was so much more valuable than them going out there against backups on the 49ers defense. So for me, I think I'm fine with what I saw in the joint practice when they got those reps, that was plenty. And I do think they're going to get multiple series against the Rams. At least that's the way Coach described it. And I think that's when you establish what the plan for preseason is going to be. You don't want to change it. These guys are expecting to go in, get a series, get out, and be good about it. So he said, dress, not start, week one or pre-1. Dress, start a series, starters for one series, pre-2. Dress, starters, and play a series plus, pre-game 3. So, Coach Oak, I think that Slaughter's going to be fine. Cole Strange, I think, had like 9 snaps. Yeah, so we'll see. I think he'll be fine. I don't know what that means, Jeff. Miss of death. Oh, kiss of death, maybe. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with being high on the Chargers. Let's see what we got here. How do we address the penalties? Again, I think it's just backups, and a new system and a lot of motion and a lot of stuff going on in this offense that they're just not comfortable with. They're not, it's August 21st. First game is September 13th. They got plenty of time to get more settled and more comfortable. Exactly. Not a postseason. I don't know if you're telling me to chill, but yeah, I'm fine. Like I said, for me, it's the joint practice. I got to see what I needed to see. Love you too, Super Live 80. Appreciate that. Who's winning the backup QB? That's a great question. Nobody certainly grabbed it in that game. But I think Trey is, and again, I think that's unfair to Trey because he had some big plays. I mean, he had a big completion for a first down, and then he had a big run for a first down, both on third downs that would have extended a drive, put him at midfield, and they were both called back because of formation penalties. So Like, I think it was unfair to Trey, and I think that's why he was so frustrated, because I think he knows he needs to get something going. But I think you saw him use his legs a little bit more. And again, it's like, just get these penalties squared away, and I think you would have felt a lot better about Trey in this one. What else we got? Run game, I'm with you, Mike. I think that's something that needs to be addressed. And that goes back to the Texans game as well, just not running the ball. Mahala, Windy Pier. Faust said one called was actually caused by the outside receiver, but I can't confirm that. Yeah, that's possible. I'm assuming you meant Faust, not Faust. Yeah, I just remember Arande was out there, and wherever he was lined up or where the receiver was, just between those guys, no bueno. Logan Taylor. What else we got? No, the organization is not down because of the injury to Tyler. I'm sure they feel terrible for him, but they thought Jake Slaughter was the best center in the draft and was good enough to be a left guard. So I think they're very thankful that that's the direction they decided to go in the second round instead of just grabbing a left guard. I know a lot of people wanted Pregnon and that sort of stuff, or one of those other guards. But I think that they decided to go with Slaughter, talk about it working out. So Susie, I don't know if he needs to sign up that center. Like I said, I like Spmer. So, I don't know what else you would bring in at this point, 3.5 weeks from week one that you'd feel better about as a backup. I think I feel okay with him. I really do. I mean, you need to see a little bit more, but I think he could, we'll see if we can kind of get a vibe from the O-line coaches or from Mike McDaniel. But remember, McDaniel's a guy that has, made a living off undrafted or late round centers. Both of his centers in Miami were undrafted guys. His backup out of UTEP and his Andrew Meyer, undrafted free agent in 2024, and Brewer, who, again, first team All-Pro center, was a undrafted free agent to Tennessee that barely played, and Miami signed in 24. So there you go. And he's, again, undrafted, 6 foot, 6'1", 290, All-Pro. And if they believe in Spmer and he's built the right way and he's got the right attitude, pretty good. But that's just me. Preseason, backups offer. No, Bowden is not challenging for long snap. They just want to make sure Harris doesn't get hurt like he did last year. 1v1s, yeah, like I said, joint practice stuff with the ones looked really good for the Chargers. What else we got? Cole Strange, 10 snaps. Run blocking grades poor. Yeah, like I said, they got to figure out the run. I don't think, no chance he makes a call for another backup QB. I don't, why sacrifice draft capital for a guy that if he's got to come into the game because Herbert's out long term, you got problems. I think they can figure it out with Trey Lance for a series or a quarter, or, I think Mike McDaniel could draw something up for one game, and be very schematically clever about it to make it work, that you don't want to be giving up. I mean, to get a solid backup, you're giving up draft capital, and I just don't think it's worth it. Let's see what else we got. Tackling, yes, I'm with you, Jeff. Tackling is a major concern, a ton of missed tackles. Talked about special teams, and like I said, Devontae Ross is not returning kicks, and JK, I think, might have just been trying. I'm assuming trying something out, and he's going to make that tackle. Yeah, Barrett, exactly. Park had that nice bull rush. I thought he played well. Let's see. Appreciate you, Jeffrey. Thanks. Didn't get to watch. How did Slaughter do? I thought he's fine. And again, I thought he was fine in the joint practices too. So, but I do think it's going to take a second. Matlock was in a boot, so that's probably not good for him, Henry. But I do know they love his disposition. They love his energy. They love his commitment. I think it's just a question of spots very well could be at a premium here. And I think when it comes to Scott, it's like, do you want to keep Scott, or do you want to keep one of these, do you want to keep Andre Carter? Do you want to keep Terah Edwards? Do you want to keep Avery Smith? Like, do you think you can put Scott on the practice squad? And will he clear waivers? And I think he probably will. If the coverage on Thompson was a little looser, do you think he could break away and take off? I'm assuming you mean on that throw downfield. Yeah, I think that should have probably been a completion. I think it might have been about a yard too far from Trey for Brandon Thompson, but he also got dragged down from behind. That should have been a flag. He got pulled down as he was extending to try to grab it. 3 and out was a bummer. I'm with you. Different drink of choice for the preseason. Well, it's just got back too late, Shay. Next week's the same. I don't like these 7 o'clock starts. It's so late. Lowe does belong in the Hall of Fame. I'm with you on that. Yep, Kolar's going to be great. I think he's going to be really good. Dicker, missing the extra points is kind of funny. But that's like his thing. It's hilarious. He's the most accurate field goal kicker ever. And he's got, let's see, he has 126 for 30 on his extra points. Let me see what that is. 97%, yeah. So it's still better than his 94% on field goals, which is the greatest in NFL history. Slater's going to start week 1. Yeah, he's going to start week 1. I would be floored if he didn't. I mean, he told us as much when he did his presser last week. He said, and it was a week ago today, or a week ago Saturday maybe. He said, look, if we were playing games right now, I'd be playing. He's like, they just want me to shoot for the 13th, so we're taking every precaution, and that's what it is. So I would be really, that's coming from Rashawn himself. What do I think of Arande playing so many snaps? I think that's in line, right, with, just kind of where he is in the pecking order. I think it's a clear Kolar 1, and Njoku 2, and Arande is tight end 3. And if you're tight end 3, get as many snaps as you can, especially because I think he needs those reps, those blocking reps. And I think he is doing a better job, at least from what I've seen at camp. He's done pretty well. Let's see. Go back to SoFi. Absolutely, Mel. That was fun to be there. Pascuzzi, yeah, that's our guy. We love Johnny Pascuzzi out of Tulane. Yes, today is a rest day. So no camp today. Tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Allen, why'd the offense look so bad? Couldn't run the ball. Sloppy, bad time on penalties. So remedy pre-snap penalties. I think it's just reps, Kyle. I think it's all backups in a new offense with a ton of motion and a quarterback that's a backup that might not. And I'm sure, look, these are all things that I think the coaching staff are going to talk to him about, right? Like, hey, man, give it a beat. Make sure your guys are set, Trey, before you take that snap. So it's and DJ made that point. It's a great point. It's like, yeah, it's on the guys, but also if you see veterans, you'll see them look around and make sure guys are set instead of rushing to the snap. Wait until the end, until the junior interview. That's funny, Trini. Yeah, poor Shannon had to stick around until that. McDaniel holding back the playbook. Yes, absolutely, Alan, because I think we saw a lot more creativity in the joint practice. Like, I felt like there was some really cool stuff he was doing in the joint practice that he's not going to do in the game for every team to be able to grab the film and look at. It's one thing for the 49ers to see it, and yeah, we play him in week 15, but that's not that big of a deal. Kyle Shanahan and he know their playbooks inside and out, so it's fine to do it in the joint practice, but I think to put it on TV for the other 31 teams, no, don't do that. So I think that's sort of what that was. I do think it was much more vanilla out there. Never caught you live. Right on, dude. Giant in the eggs. I love eggs. Oh, and I appreciate Scotland. A Scotch egg. So wildly underrated. Checking in from Newcastle. Thank you, Cricky. I appreciate that. Love the international folks. Bummed that we didn't get an international game this year. I thought for sure we might have a crack at Australia, but we didn't get it. Thompson, Brandon. I think Branson was, if I had to guess, I think it was probably a stinger because it looked like he had his head compressed and you can see his arm drop. And I think he freaked out because he probably got the stinger. Arm went numb, had the numbness. but then came back out and seemed to be okay. Thompson, I don't know. I know he went into the tent and he went into the locker room, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Great interview, Justin. Oh, yeah. The fact that Justin sat down with me and Chris on Chargers Weekly was good. I'm actually going to be taping Chargers Weekly here in about 20 minutes. So that'll post a little bit later today with Jaleel Adai. There you go. Nerd training. Just mentioned that. Taping that in about 25 minutes. Good to know about Slater. Watching Jaleel. Halftime. Throw you up there. Yeah, I'm calling the game, so couldn't do that. But yeah, we'll see. Just joined. Talked about it yet. Overall health. Don't know. They don't share that sort of stuff about what the injury update is. Did anyone make a case to make the team this game? Well, I think certainly Junior helped himself out, right? I do think he, early on, I think he let a play get behind him, did not diagnose very well, and got sucked up, had a big pass play complete behind him. So I don't think that was ideal, but the pick six was nice, So I thought Dame rushed the passer well. Apparently PFF didn't. They gave him a 29 grade. But I thought he had some pretty good pressures out there. Who else? Yeah. Connecticut, thanks for doing these. Appreciate you, Mary. Thanks so much. I love Connecticut. Nice to see you last night. That is Ida Mommy. So I get it. Very clever. Saw your daughter on the Jumbotron. Yeah, they were jumping around and freaking out. Hello from Mexico. What's happening, Pedromo? Que onda? Wish we went back to Mexico this year. All of those things. So Allen will not come back next year and retire as a Charger. I would guess that would be like a one-day contract sort of thing. All right, that's going to do it. I'm going to hop out of here. As you are checking in from Utah, Kara or Kraroko. Thanks, everybody. That was fun. Wish I could have done it last night. I would say I'll do it next week, but probably not because, again, with SoFi traffic and all that, did not get home until close to midnight. This is not Dan Fout's first year, Alan, being a commentator. This will be my last answer. He has been doing our preseason since I've been doing it. That's 10 years. So maybe even longer. All right. Everybody have a great day. Appreciate y'all. Bolt up.